Hi everyone, it's Comics Villain and welcome to The Backstory. If you're new to the series, it's about who indie content creators are, where they came from, and what lies ahead. In this series, I have contacted each creator to get specifics on themselves to share with you today, as well as share with you their current work. Alright, let's dive in. On this episode, we'll be talking about Karl O'Rowe. Karl is an indie artist from Dublin, Ireland. He studied, well, let me say exactly what Karl stated. I took a 2-year illustration course only because there was a comic class in the second year. Turned out to be a huge mistake. Nonsense, unrelated assignments, tutors completely lacking in skill, and peers completely uninterested in art. Not everyone, but enough to burn me on college or teaching forever. I had to work to get the comics tutor to allow us to draw comic pages for our assignment. Then I was chastised for completing my year's work for the comics class in a week. The year of work we had to produce was 3 pages. He has a campaign out for a comic known as Death Swarm, which is currently in demand and as of this recording made a total of $37,529 by 669 backers. You can find Karl on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. What got him into comics, and what were some of his first comics? Karl says, I was always surrounded by comics. My first exposure was probably my grandkids' collection of mainly old British comics, stuff like Commando, Action, Hookjaw, and some 2080 annuals. I remember the first comic I was given, or at least the one that had an impact on me, was an issue of Spider-Man that featured Marrow and some vampire guy. I must have been about 4 years old. The comic you get in newspapers over here are a lot like the current Walmart giants from DC. They would have 3 issues in them, a modern one, a slightly older one, and a really old one. Mainly Marvel titles. Some would contain more than one character. I feel like as I continue to read, they help me understand style and the evolution of style across comics, both in art and storytelling. I wasn't engaging with one story as much as I was engaging with this expanded continuity. It was a crash course in creating these massive properties. What got him into drawing, and how long has he been at it for? Karl says, I've been drawing ever since I can remember, so I guess that would make it 22 years to be exact. Every hobby I've ever had has always been a creative outlet, and has always revolved around escape. So I don't remember getting into it. Creating, drawing, storytelling has just always been there. What advice would you give for aspiring artists and writers who want to start creating their own comics? Karl says, the biggest obstacle I see aspiring creators struggling with is not committing to it. Most artists and writers have a story knocking around their head that keeps expanding and expanding, but they're terrified to put it on paper. When I finally decided to put Death Swarm down on paper and launch the entire story with the original 20-page first chapter, it changed entirely and for the better. I had a direction to go now. Even if I write myself into a corner, that only means I can make it better and smarter by figuring a way out of that corner. I've always done it alone when it comes to the creating, so I don't know how to get people help with teams. But I think the biggest thing to remember is that there are those that have comics on paper and those that have comics in their heads. And everyone has a comic in their head. What projects have you worked on prior to your current comic? Karl says, there are a few that were in development that I'd love to get back to, and some old webcomics, but nothing really worth mentioning. I don't think they're the best representation of me now. What for each of your projects are you interested in creating, and what genres might they be? Karl says, I have a couple ideas always cooking. The most developed would be Tuatha De Danann, a comic based on Irish mythology. Those are characters that I think I can make really unique. Unlike most people who touch that subject matter and only allow the subject to influence them, I'm taking this in my direction, and allowing all my likes and interest to flow into it, but I don't know when I'll get back to it. Lastly, what would you like us to know about your current project? Karl says, Deathsworn, Book 1 is live now on Indiegogo. It's an 80s-inspired gritty space fantasy in which an evil empire of solar vampires are taking over the galaxy, and only one hardened warrior, hell-bent on revenge, stands against them. You can pick up an 80-plus page full-color comic with a 46-page black and white manga-sized ashcan, as well as original art and more. This book, these characters, the universe is quickly taking over my life. I'm obsessed with it and only want it to keep expanding. Like I said, all my creative outlets have always been about escape. Well, Deathsworn is the place where I want to be. And I think this book is a big return to something that people have been missing. That's it for this episode of The Backstory. I hope you enjoyed hearing about Karl. Let's help support our indie creators. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button to help me reach that 1,000 subscriber milestone. Upon hitting 1,000, we'll be doing a giveaway for Final Fantasy VII as well as a free bus sketch from Raven Monroe. Thank you, Raven. Also, like, share, and comment on what you thought about the video. Thank you all for watching. I will see you on the next video. Take care, and have a great rest of your day.